Welcome back, Douglas Patron. Now, before we get started making our resumes, it might be helpful to know the basics of using Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Word. So, when we're working at our computer, once we've logged in, there's a few things we need to know and a few terms I'm going to go over so that you can understand me for the rest of this. First of all, this is called Microsoft Windows because we work within what are called windows. This is a window right here. It's a sort of container for a certain program. So this window has Microsoft Internet Explorer in it, and there's some tabs here as well that help us use Microsoft Internet Explorer. But this is a window. You can minimize and maximize and restore windows when they're minimized to what is called the taskbar. This is where all your programs are stored while they're running. If I were to close a program, it would leave the taskbar. Your taskbar might look a little bit different if you're on an older version of Windows, but the idea is still the same. The items are down in the taskbar, and it might tell you with words or it might show you with pictures what is down there. Now this is called the Start button. We click the Start button to access pretty much anything in Microsoft Windows. This is called a menu. When the menu comes up, we can choose things from that menu. For example, I want to open Microsoft Word. Now, once we're in a program, it's important to note what's happening with the mouse here. The mouse is actually called, what you see on the screen is called a cursor. So this is a cursor. And we do everything, we manipulate everything on the screen with the cursor. We use the mouse to move the cursor around, and then we use the cursor to do things like hover. When we hover over things, a dialog box or a screen tip might come up to tell me what they are. Sometimes hovering over something will actually even perform a function as well, but usually hovering sort of gives us a preview of what might happen. And this dialog box that comes on is called a screen tip. We can also click on things. So we hover over a button before we click it. Once we click it, we've activated that button. You can click on the screen to move the cursor around. You can click and hold and drag to highlight things. You can even drag things around like this by clicking, holding, and dragging it. Most clicks are left clicks. That's what you do with your index finger, unless it's specified as a right click with your ring finger. Some are single clicks and some are double clicks. If I ever do a right click, it's always a single click. Doing a right click can usually bring up a dialog box or a menu of other things I can do. Meanwhile, a left click will put the cursor somewhere on the screen. When you double click something, it's two really quick clicks of your index finger in a row without moving your cursor at all. If you do it slow, all you do is move your cursor. But if you double click really quick, that's what happens. It'll highlight things. Sometimes you have to double click to get a certain task to be performed. So it's important to know the difference between a single click, a double click, a left click, and a right click. Now, in order to open anything, like I said, we go to the Start menu. Microsoft Word is over here in the recent software, but for me, it is at least right now, but if it wasn't sitting here, I would have to go to All Programs. Once I click on All Programs, I hover over Microsoft Office or click it. Sometimes hovering over it will have another dialog box show up that has the programs in it. Once I see with what programs are in the Microsoft Office folder, I can click Microsoft Word. I just have to single click it. If it was on my desktop though, I would double click. Now, here's a little overview of the Microsoft Word window, and your version of Microsoft Word might be slightly different, but most of the concepts are the same. Over in your top left, you'll have either a File button or an Office button. The most recent version of Microsoft Word has a File button. The next most recent will have a little circle that looks like 4 pages in multicolor, and that's called the Office button, but they do the same thing. When I'm in the Office button, I can see right by it are some basic commands. We have window commands here. We have save, undo, redo, and sometimes we'll have print view as well in the basic commands. And we also have the menu tabs here. The Home tab, Insert tab, and these open different menu galleries. We also have Help all the way at the end here, and it's in line with the menu tabs. All the versions of Microsoft Word that you will be using should look a bit like this, although some older ones are a little bit more basic. Again, the concepts will be pretty similar. In addition to the menu tabs, we have the galleries. These are collections of buttons and commands. So we have the clipboard gallery, the font gallery, the paragraph gallery, the styles gallery, and the editing gallery. Each menu tab has different galleries that each have different command buttons. So the links gallery under Insert has a command for hyperlink, bookmark, and cross-reference. Finally, this is our formatting window. We format our documents in the formatting window.